Hello, this is Eileen, the environmental educator. In this video, we're going to talk about Bobby Kennedy, who this story has come to light. It's being resurfaced. It came from a 2012 interview with Town and Country, where his daughter, Kit Kennedy, recounted a story about Bobby taking a chainsaw to the head of a dead whale and taking the head home, putting it in a plastic bag on their minivan, and crossing state lines. Okay? Now, this all news pipeline says that RFK murders whale with chainsaw, but that's not the way this article reads up here. It says that this comes after Kennedy admitted he put a dead bear cub in Central Park. And that's at the bottom of this article too. It has that here, and it has a link. He jokingly planted a dead bear cub in Central Park, and that's right here in this article. That was done on a Roseanne podcast, and right here, Bobby says, looking forward to see how you spin this one. And look at Bobby right here, Mr. Environmental. What is like the worst thing you can do for the environment besides messing with dead whales' heads, I guess, using disposable products? But here Bobby, Mr. Environmental himself, I did a Friday Funny video about this. Here's Bobby with his disposable items. Here he is, promoting his environmental dinner that apparently they had wherever they filmed the Roseanne podcast. And as I said in this video, that if he were hanging out with Hunter, say, and this were adult party favors on the table, at least somebody in Bobby's Kennedy's orbit, all of his advisors and handlers would say, hey, we should clean up this mess before we take a picture and promote it. But no, here's Bobby. Everything here, disposable. The absolute worst thing you could do for the environment. Okay, but right now, we're going to talk about what they say his daughter says is he likes to study animal skulls and skeletons. So they ran down to the beach with a chainsaw, cut off the whale's head, and then bungee corded it to the roof of the family minivan for the 5-hour drive back to Mount Kisco, New York, according to the article. And then, pretty funny, Bobby's always there to tell you the truth, except when he doesn't want to, when he wants to ignore it. And a Kennedy spokesperson did not respond to a request for comment, just like Bobby Kennedy says that he will give anyone an interview, which is another one of his lies. I did another video about this because I have asked for many times. I show you in this video here the emails that I've sent to many emails at Team Kennedy. And Bobby Kennedy will not talk to the one person who actually has the environmental solutions the world needs that he has refused. Surprise, surprise, the spokesman didn't respond for comment. But it gets pretty gory here. I mean, a whale juice poured down the window. I mean, we had plastic bags over our heads with mouth holes cut out, and people on the highway were giving us the finger. But that was just a normal day-to-day stuff for us. Oh, that's just how they act in the Kennedy household. Okay, so right now, an environmental group is calling for a federal agency to investigate Bobby Kennedy, who allegedly used a chainsaw to cut off the head of a dead whale and strap it to the roof of his minivan and drove it across state lines roughly 3 decades ago when he was in his 40s. So they say that the Center for Biological Diversity Action Fund, a nonprofit group, wrote a letter to the directors of the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration asking them to investigate Kennedy for his alleged actions. And Kit said in that interview that word got out that a dead whale had washed up on Squaw Island in Hyannisport. So, yeah, well, what else would they do except run to the beach with a chainsaw to cut off the whale's head? Yeah, and then bungee corded to the minivan. I mean, it's almost like a Chevy Chase movie, okay? Except this really isn't that funny. And they say here that in the letter to the NOAA, Brett Hartl, Hartl, a national political director for the Center for Biological Diversity Action Fund, argued that Kennedy, a former environmental lawyer, violated the Marine Mammal Protection Act and possibly the Endangered Species Act. So they say that they hope that the NOAA Office of Law Enforcement, at a minimum, is able to ensure that Kennedy surrenders any and all illegally obtained wildlife that he continues to possess, including the whale skull he took from the Massachusetts beach in 1994. They say that given Kennedy's reckless disregard for two of the most important marine conservation laws in the United States, we ask that NOAA consider all appropriate civil and criminal penalties as well. Okay. A representative from the NOAA didn't respond to a question emailed to them. And this was in August 28th, 2024. This one with Roseanne in August 5th article. Yeah, August 5th right there. Yeah, where Bobby is. Does Bobby ever do anything that's environmental? You know what else he doesn't do that's environmental? He won't give you solutions since 98. But right now, I don't know if he's really facing some heat. This is 30 years old. There might be statute of limitations. And of course, you know, when you're a Kennedy, are there really laws for the Kennedys? But right now, an environmental group is asking that RFK, Bobby Kennedy, be looked into, because if you and I went out and did this, there would be consequences to pay. And right here, I put out on his post, looking forward to see how you spin this one. Mr. Unenvironmental, nice, irresponsible, disposable dinner you are at. This must be why you and now your campaign has refused to lead with the light years best environmental solutions, including ending our disposable society since 98. Bobby Kennedy is not an environmental godsend, and that is the most truth you are ever going to know about Bobby Kennedy and the environment. Stay tuned, people.